Dear friends, today is Father's Day, and on this day, we appreciate our fathers and father figures in our society, especially in our parish here in Holy Family, Barnawa, Kaduna. In this video, some of our fathers have shared with us their views on who a father is, the privileges, challenges, and difficulties of being a father. They have also shared with us some of the challenges about themselves. If given the opportunity, they wish they could change. I therefore enjoy you all to listen and watch attentively, and at the end of it, kindly share with us your contributions on some of the questions raised here. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Who is a father? A father is a man that has a relationship with either his son or his daughter or his entire family. And he has a responsibility to ensure that this family is taken care of, brought up spiritually, provide for them, and ensure that he guides them in the right way to ensure that they live a good Catholic life.
A father is a male figure to his child or children. In our society, a father is seen as the head of the family, the one who shepherds the family, the one who takes responsibility of the family, which comprises of the wife and then the children or child, as the case may be.
Well, for me, a father is a male who followed due process and marries a female as a wife, begets children, and manage a home. The essence of this is to really differentiate from current trend where purportedly marry male, female purportedly marry male. As far as Nigeria is concerned, and as far as our culture is concerned, it's a man. It must be a man who followed due process and marries a woman, a female, and then begets children. And then at the end of the day, the man manages the home. That is a father for me.
In the beginning, when God created everything, He saw everything was good and perfect. That in all that He created, He gave everything a role and a purpose. He created the prophets with a purpose, a role, and a time. He created Abraham and Sarah with a purpose, a role, and a time. Even Jesus came for a purpose, a role, and a time. He created Adam and Eve. He gave them, each of them, a purpose and a role. The role of Adam was to be the king of the home, the head of the home, the provider of the home, the breadwinner of the home, the defender of the home, the pillar of the home. While if he gave her a role to give birth and then take care of the family, be a supporter to her husband, and be a helper to her husband. So he created man. That man will leave his parents, the wife leave, they form a home. And the home they form is one body. So the husband has his own role to play. The wife have her own role. The children have their own roles. And there's nobody that can play the role of another person. So the husband now becomes the head of the home, the king of the home, the judge of the home, the pillar of the home, the breadwinner of the home, that is the provider, and then the protector of the home. While the wife and children, everybody carry his own role.
At this age, I'm so happy that I have the children and they are so proud of me and I'm proud of them. And I thank God for that. Obviously, I have no regret. I feel very proud because since I was born a child and was able to marry, challenges are there. And God has made a human being that he should face challenges, which include the lifestyle of himself. And when he's married, he has other challenges that come along with the marriage challenges, which include if you are able to have children, then they are grown up and you also believe you can use the talent or the wisdom that God has given you or me to be able to use them or to exploit certain possibilities, which is growing them and developing them both naturally and academically, which I believe I'm happy and I don't think I'm regretting, but I'm more happier as I grow older.
Thank you so much. Being a father, there are two things for me. One, if a man is matured and desires to marry, his primary responsibility is to get married, and that is his own aspect. And the aspect for God is for God to bless that family with children. So when you do your own work by getting married and God blesses you with children, you become a father. And that gives you a lot of responsibility. First is being a father. I am very honored by God to have made me a father because, like I said, you marry, children comes from God, and it's only through prayers, and God answers your prayer. I'm very honored to be a father. I am happy to be a father. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and the only way to do is to ensure that that responsibility entrusted on me by God to be a father is to ensure that that role is played very well in a very responsible manner to ensure that the family is brought up or tailored towards the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, so that at the end of the day, all of us will be happy and glory be to God. I don't have any regret being a father. There is no doubt that there are some challenges that usually go with the responsibility of being a father. But what is germane here, father, is your ability to handle such challenges, overcome them, and move ahead. Because in life, in whatever sphere you find yourself, whether marital or anywhere, there must be challenges. So there's no cause for regret being a father. Thank you.
Being a father to me is a great privilege and it's a great thing. It's an enjoyable thing. Uh, it's something that every average man should aspire to. And I believe that there's nothing to regret being a father because as a father, you contribute to generating human beings, you contribute to managing home, you contribute to the growth and development of society. So being a father is a great thing. It's an enjoyable thing. It's a privilege.
I feel wonderful. I feel great being a father. It's a privilege. There's so many take in for being a father. There are so many responsibility. You know, there are so many things you enjoy being a father. The feeling itself is something great. And if I regret being a father, I don't think I have any regret being a father. I don't think I have any regret. The only regret I will point out, if I'll call it a regret, is not being to provide as much as I really want for my family.
Well, thank you very much. As a father who is blessed with children, I enjoy seeing children messing up. And it really showed to me how God sees us. You know, don't do this, don't do that. And you find yourself doing it and doing it. So I enjoy children. When you see them messing up the place and you just watch them. And I just the time I say, this is how God is looking at me. And so it's a great privilege. And then I enjoy their company. You know, all the time, if the children are around, you are all with them, one thing or the other, you enjoy their company. And again, I see it as God also looking forward to enjoying our company, you know, in fellowships, in other things like that. And as a father, I'm privileged to be a judge. You know, your children will always come to you and with one case or the other, ask you to judge. I remember an incident where one of my little boys came and said, Daddy, 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 uh, the younger one says, Daddy, Favor is finding my problem. I said, that's what say, go and hide your problem and make sure he doesn't look at get it. He laughed and went away. So the joy of being a judge all the time is a privilege. And then there's also this privilege of enjoying whenever they come like this with all their problems, they see you as the guy who solves almost every problem. To them, they have the feeling that you don't have any problem that you cannot solve. There's no problem with theirs that cannot solve. They come to you with privilege, hoping that daddy will solve this problem for me. And with that confidence and trust, they come to me. And I enjoy listening to them, enjoy doing my best to make them happy, to satisfy their yearnings and their needs. And then at the end of the day, they say, wow, daddy has tried, I have tried, and I enjoyed myself.
The privileges I enjoy being a father are enormous, but one important one is that you are being loved by the family. There's this sense of responsibility, most importantly, and then being a teacher to your children because you are expected to be the first teacher of your children. So it's a privilege, teaching your children, imbibing the culture, imbibing the morals of the society to your children, and see them grow in what you have taught them. It's a thing of joy, and I really enjoy it.
For me, father, privileges of being a father are numerous, but for me, I see it as responsibility because as a father, you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulder to make your family to be responsible, to ensure that you lead your family responsibly, ensure that you live an exemplary life, ensure that you train your children both educationally and spiritually, so that at the end of the day, when they grow up and become responsible, you become happy to see your children, to see your grandchildren and your great grandchildren, and you see your family doing very well. And that's the privilege for me.
I feel naturally great because of God's creation, and He has blessed me. I've been able to achieve my being, and then He blessed me with children. And all along, I've been using God's help and struggling, and I have achieved what God Himself has given me. That is the nature of creation. And because my children are alive with me, and out of the 8 children, only one that God has taken away, and I have 7 living children. So I feel very proud and great.
Well, I would say the fathers of this generation find it harder to manage the family compared to how our parents in the olden days handle us. Because in today's world, the jet age of a thing is so wide. Children learn a lot from different places, from the social media, from school, from friends. And for you to be able to manage your children, you must also move with the time. You must also accustom yourself with the present situation on ground so that you'll be able to know what they feel, you'll be able to feel what they feel, to be able to teach them and advise them better. Because in the olden days, we don't have most of these social media of a thing. So it's only what your mother or your father tells you that you build on. But today, they listen to comments and news from the social media. They go to the internet, they see it on television. They tend to compare what you tell them against what they read or what they see on other medias. So you must also be on your toes to be able to, meet up with that time. And then we know the current economic situation of today compared to how it was then is so crazy. Then from the backyard, you could go to your farm and get what the family will eat. Everything is cheap. Things are, not as hard as today. But today you have to struggle hard. The competition is stiffer. The competition is harder this period. So you have to, as a father and as that figure who has a responsibility, you have to struggle more. You have to be at par with the society so that you can handle your family better.
For me, it's getting harder or difficult for today's fathers because in those days we had grandfathers, grandmothers who you relate, who you leave your children with, who stay with you, take care of your children. But today's fathers or parents work at the same time. Sometimes even the father may be working in a different city from where the wife is, and children are left in the hands of nannies, guardians, and those virtues, those principles of family life are denied these children. These children don't have the opportunity to have those principles, those values of family life. So when even the parents come back from work, they're exhausted, they're tired. Before they get home, the children are slept. They don't have close interaction with these children. These children are left in the hands of nannies to bring up and to train. And it's a huge challenge because in those days, the father goes to work, the mother stays at home, take care of the children. By the time the father comes back, the mother will have prepared food for the husband. He will eat and take care of the family and all that. But sometimes these days, it's the father that even comes back home before the wife. And by the time they come back home, the children are slept. So it's a huge challenge, Father. And we pray that God will give us the grace to overcome some of these challenges. Well, it has to do with difficult times because both parents have to work. But the gap is obvious and it's telling on children, I must confess.
God created man. That man will leave his parents, the wife leave, they form a home. And because of this, they are one body. And if one is not there, a great vacuum will be created. And that vacuum, there's nobody that can replace it. It's just like the stomach cannot play the role of the hand. Neither can the hands play the role of the head. So because of that, when one of them is not there, a vacuum is there. It's only God that can replace that vacuum, especially when the head of the home is not there. There is a big vacuum that is left. Unless and until when they realize that God is the original husband, He is the original father of the children, He is the original head of the home, and then they fall back to God, and God comes in to fill that vacuum.
Father, it's difficult to imagine because right from creation, God said that a man will leave his father and mother and join to his wife and they become one. So, which means right from time, a father and a mother are supposed to, husband and wife are supposed to live together to bring up children. It's a dual responsibility. A man has his own responsibility to do, the wife has her own responsibility to do. But when that responsibility is left on the woman alone, it becomes very difficult, becomes very challenging. One, the mother takes care of everything about the children or about the home. The child has some social challenges, both in school and everywhere. There are some emotional challenges to attach to the children, not having a father, and so on. Because these days, the internet is a single mother, and so on. It has its own social challenges. And that's not what God destined for when He created man. He wanted man and woman to live together. And the challenges are enormous. So it brings some social challenges, some spiritual challenges. The children are not brought up because a son or a daughter or a child has some directives he takes from the father. And when the father speaks, and that fear, that respect, that responsibility is seen, unlike when a child is brought up by only a mother. So it's a huge challenge, and we pray that our children these days should embrace marital values and marry and live a happy married life so that children will be brought up in a very Christian way, in a very matured way, in a very social way, that these children will live and be exemplary to the society.
Oh, well, I wouldn't just imagine a home without a father. I'm actually experiencing a home without a father. And truth be told, it hasn't been easy. I lost my dad at a very tender age. And growing up without the love of a father, without the care of a father, has been really sad. There's just this very big vacuum that has been left in my life that most times I feel like growing up or becoming older, that vacuum will probably be filled up or I'll become better and stronger. But then I tend to realize that growing up doesn't fill up the vacuum or doesn't make a difference. The father plays a very important role in a home. He's the provider, he's the protector, he's a disciplinarian, and he does a lot of things in a home. So growing up without the love of a father, without the care of a father, hasn't been really easy till date. I can't say I've actually found a man like my father. So all fathers are very unique. They are very unique in their own way. They are very special. They tend to care for their children. Like I often see children with their fathers, and I feel this very large vacuum there. Like I feel very sad. I just feel like love of a father is everything and shouldn't be taken for granted. And to all those out there whose fathers are still alive, all I would want to say is respect your fathers, take good care of them while you can, show them every care, every love that you can, because you can never tell. So, fathers are very, very, very important in the life of their children in a home at large.
It's a really tough situation for a family not having a father figure. It's really tough. I grew up knowing my father. I know the role he played in my life. And I have cousins that grew up not knowing their father. And I know how they live. I know what they pass through. It's not easy growing up not having a father figure because if you listen to most children, you understand that they look at their father as their role model. No matter how rich they are, no matter how rich they are, if there's no father figure, there's this way they tilt to that ability to take responsibility, that ability to fend for even their siblings is not there. So I think it's a really tough one for families who don't have anybody to look up as a father. Of course, the mother play their role wonderfully, but then there's this part also that the father plays, which balance the family. So if a family is there without the father figure, most time it is tough. It is very, very tough, and I wouldn't wish that for any family.
When the head of the home is no longer there, a great vacuum is left, a very big space. So God is a merciful God. He will fill that vacuum and then he will take the position. And when he takes the position of being the head of the home, because naturally God is the head of the home, he is the husband of the widow, and he is the father of the fatherless, then the house now become whole like any other home. So anybody that has a vacuum should know that God is a fair God, that he is going to fill that vacuum and make the home whole again.
A home without a father is something one cannot imagine. It's something one can never pray for. Because a home without a father is a very big vacuum that it is only those who know and fear God that will live. Because a father is a central figure in a home. And if he is not there, he creates a very big vacuum. And so managing that home becomes a very big problem. And for me, I can't just imagine it. I can't just pray for it. And if it happens as it must happen, we thank God that we have a bigger father. And God has assured us that He is our Father. He is always with us. And that is the consolation. That is how the vacuum can only be filled. So if our earthly parents, our earthly fathers are not there, for us, the Christian, we have a heavenly Father who has promised us that He will be with us till the end of time. That is the consolation. But seriously, a home without an earthly father can never be imagined, can never be prayed for.
A father is dead, for example, then only a mother and a child or children. It is difficult for that home to have a matured control because children in most cases or situations always believe that when the mother say one thing, the father will also add. Or when the mother want to scold a child or quarrel a child, say your father will not be happy if he sees you doing wrong thing. And that child will reserve himself or cool down. So a home without a father, it is difficult to have a more developed attitude of this child or children, that they will come and grow in a manner that that house will be a model to be seen to progress in most cases. So a house without a father, like we have seen in our Bible, that sheep without a shepherd, in most cases, they go astray. And that's how a home without a father, in most cases, do not have a good background development, which include a sense of belonging, the sense of accepting and discipline, and then children who are oriented through success of life as they grow. And that is why, in my opinion, any child or any home that does not have a father hardly progress so much well.
Wow. For me, the hardest thing in raising children is not being able to provide for their need and not being able to imbibe that respect on them. Because only when your children respect you that they do what you instruct them to do. And it's only when you can provide for the family adequately that they see you as the role model you are expected to be. That is when they will respect you and say, yes, my father is really struggling for me. My father is really doing a lot for me to survive. So the hardest thing I can say is not being able to meet all these needs, because that will bring in some negativity in their reasoning, especially when they have other friends whose father are able to provide most of their needs, whose fathers are always there for them in whatever they need, and you're not meeting up in that your responsibility. It tends to bring their morale down. It tends to bring a negative kind of feeling in their heart. They will feel that my daddy don't love me that much to be able to provide my need or be able to come to my need when needed. So for me, I find that to be very, very hard being a father.
First of all, Father, when couples get married and based on their disposable income, they should be able to agree and determine the number of children to bear. There's no two ways about it. And when they agree and determine the number of children they are going to bear, then they go by it so that when you bring up a child into this world, it is your responsibility to make sure that you take care of that child. For me, it's not a burden. It's not a burden. You have brought somebody to this world, you must take care of that person. So, first of all, you must be able to know the number of children you'll be able to take care of. But really, in bringing up children, there are challenges attached to it in terms of giving them good education, training them spiritually, and ensuring that they emulate, you inculcate that core value of your family or your where you come from into them, so that when they see them, they'll say, yes, these children are from this family. Because every family, every home has their own core values. And in ensuring that these children carry out or display these core values, it is a challenge that you ensure that you teach them. And it's the responsibility of the parents to ensure that these core values are carried out or passed through to these children so that they will live those exemplary life. So that's for me the challenges of bringing up children is to ensure that you give them what they're supposed to know, because you can't give what you don't have. It's the values you inculcate into them that they will also be able to carry out behind you.
Fathers have a big challenge managing their prodigal children. Why? Because as a natural person, we tend to love the obedient child. You tend to care for the obedient child and neglect the delinquent and neglect the prodigal child. So I believe that we have, as parents, as fathers, we have a very big challenge in evolving ways of loving the prodigal child, just like God loves us who are also prodigal children. Number two is balancing siblings' challenges. There's a need for you to try to balance siblings' interests in the home so that they can be able to have harmony in the home. Again, we have challenge in communication. Our age, we are elderly and they are younger. So the ability for us to evolve a better way of communicating with their generation is a big challenge to us parents. And then we should be able to do that. And then again, sex education, as the old talk, we find it extremely difficult to talk about sex education with our children. But this is very important. So again, parents should be able to try to overcome this problem because it is very, very big challenge that we are facing.
As a father, if I wish to change anything, I would change a situation where I will live a moderate and happy life. which include raising up family that will not have too much difficulties in life. In life, there are difficulties, but if you can change a thing that will moderate you and you have such things available, then you change a modern life that will help you and the family. That is how I would have wished. If I would change it, I want to see or live a happy life, or I will live a happy life by having some of the or most of the things available, not in excess, but something that I can have available that I can afford. All right, thank you so much. The things I think I can change about myself that I think that not really good. One, anger. I'm very emotional, and my anger is stemmed on the fact that when I see things going on wrong, I don't hide my feelings about it, but it's seen as anger. So that's the only thing I think that I don't do very well. If I can change the anger in myself, the emotions are attached to things, and look at them in a very good perspective.
Well, if given the opportunity for me to change one of my deficiencies, is to have a better way of communication. Communication with my children, communication with my family. As a human being, there are times that you tend to just keep quiet in some situations and you just keep quiet. But lack of communication will create more problems. So I want to see myself as a better communicator if uh, I have the opportunity.
Wow. Well, one would say if wishes were horses. So if I'm given the opportunity or the chance to change one thing of being a father, then I would say I want to change the fact that sometimes I wasn't able to meet up with my responsibility of being a father, a good father at that, because of the society we find ourselves. Sometimes you have to improvise to let your children know that, okay, you wanted A, you say, okay, let's have B. B is better than A, even though deep down you know that A is better than B. But because of the situation you find yourself, you're not able to meet up to get A. So you tilt towards B. So if I would change anything, I would say I would have wanted being able to meet most of my children's need.
Servicibus nostri minabamus precio compar.
Right from creation, the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph has been a very faithful, spiritual, committed family that is a role model all over the world. And you can't dispute that. So that is the family that every Christian should emulate. And my family emulates the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph as our role model, because that family is known for spiritual lives, very committed, very faithful to God, and they're always in prayers together. Mary listens to Jesus when he was on earth, and when Mary asks the Son, Jesus Christ, to turn water into wine, he obeyed the mother, and they're always together. And some of the values is when Mary got pregnant spiritually through the Holy Spirit, and Joseph was informed about it, he took responsibility. So it's a home, it's a family that is a role model to my family and to any other Christian family.
As a member of Holy Family Parish, I think we are called upon, even as Catholics, to model our family lives in accordance with Mary, Jesus, and Joseph. These are the ideal family. They are a perfect family that all of us should strive to emulate. But again, coming back home, I didn't live with Mary, Jesus, and Joseph. I lived with late Madaki Koza Abui, Atado Koza, and other things. And seriously, if I'm to grade them, the Holy Family first, the second is my father and mother. Because my father and mother, they were good guys. You know, my father was very hardworking and he instilled in us the need for us to be hardworking. My father was a very good man in managing his family. My father was a polygamist with several wives, and my father evolved a system where we, the siblings, live in harmony. He will ask me not to live in my mother's house, but to stay with my stepmother's house and room. And my stepmother takes care of me as if I was her biological child. That was how he rotated us. And so we see our mummies as mummies in real, not as stepmothers. And all of us call them special names. For everybody, every child looks and call this one special names, and we call them like that together. So irrespective of whether they are modern. So my father was very, very good in managing human beings, and that creates the harmony that we enjoy today as a family. And then, even despite the fact that we come from a polygamous family, my father taught us to be God fearing. All of us we are brought up to be God fearing. If you don't go to church, you are on your own. Time to go to church, you go to church. Time to go to school, you go to school. So I love him for that. And the same thing with my mother. She will always come to mitigate the harshness of my father, and I try to help us, groom us to be better people. So for me, my mentor, apart from the Holy Family, it's my father and my mother.
As a Catholic, every Catholic family will want to model their family to the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And that is exactly how I want to also model my family. Because the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, there you find everything. You find Joseph as the head of the family, as a teacher, as a listener, as a provider, as a lover of God, as a respecter of God. No matter how the situation is, Joseph is always there for his family. And the scriptures clearly states it. Even when the angel appeared to Joseph to tell him that your wife is going to conceive, you know, just imagine today's father, what he will look like. Ah, my wife going to have a baby and I've not touched her. What kind of thing is that? No, no, no right thinking father will just accept it. But Joseph, being a respecter of God, who believed in God, you know, accepted it and followed the wish of God. And that is how I also want my family to be modeled. I want to teach my children the way of God. I want to teach them the way of Christianity. I want to teach them good moral. And I also want them to respect me because I am seen as their role model. I have a friend who will tell you, can your child be proud to say, I want to be like my father? Which means if you're a thief or if you are somebody who does something that is not ought to, will your child be proud to say, I want to be like my father? Or will you be proud to say, okay, I want my child to be like me? No, no. So, as a Catholic and as a parishioner from Holy Family, coincidentally, I will definitely want my family to be structured like the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
As a human being, my experience that I learned from my parents Luckily, I made them alive. And I grew up, my mother and my father. The tradition behind their lifestyle when I was born in that family, I learned how they exercise patience and they endure how to manage difficulties. And they now behave in manners that we learn from them how to work hard so that as we become matured, or I become matured, I was able to continue with such tradition, because tradition itself helps me or us to guide us and guide our attitude towards achieving certain things. For example, excessive misbehavior, not going out anytime, going out and not creating problems for yourself, because if you do, you are doing it, the family will not be happy. And then believing that you are doing something to make the family proud. That is, if you go out, your name should not be heard of doing something that will insult the family. And so if you do something that will make the family happy, for example, if you go and say you heard of a good thing and you want to do it and you ask them and they will advise you to do it. Let me give an example. When I got a school in my village and I said I'm going to Zaria, for example, from my village in Fori Kagoma, my father said, "You are going there, will you come and meet me alive?" I said, "Daddy, what I want from you is God's blessing. If you can bless me, honestly, you'll be surprised." And when he said, "Okay, but when you get there, be careful. Make sure you learn how to obey people's ways of life or workers or whatever government." And when I went to Zaria, I went there and learned a lot of things. I do some jobs, government jobs, went to the library, the university library, and from there I saw young boys who graduated, and I say, that time I was matured. Then I will now ask God at a corner of the library, "Please help me. I'm a matured boy now, but there are schools who can accept me at my age." That is the teachers' college there. And I went to a teachers' college near that Zaria, which means Basawa St. Enders. And through this, again, I was in the village, I was playing my ball. I learned how to play ball as a footballer. It is through footballing that that college accepted me, and that is how the model in which, when I got married, I told my children educationally and never relent in making them look backward. So that is how, when I grew up and they were growing up, it was difficult to raise them, particularly in education.
Thank you so much. I met my parents growing up and I lived with them very well. Some of the legacies they left behind include, but not limited to, being a very good Catholic and being spiritually in all our undertakings, holding the core values of the family anywhere you go to,
being sincere and honest in all your dealings, relating to one another in a very clear mind, and ensuring that you do things at the right time. So all these values are things that I cherish so much and which I have tried to bring down to my children, being disciplined, ensure that you maintain the values of the family, you attend church regularly, make sure that you are committed to whatever you are doing, and be clean and be honest, be sincere, be devoted to your assignment, your job you are doing, and at the end of the day, God's blessings will be upon us.
Yes, I very much appreciate that at my tender year growing age, I lived with my parents, both father and mother, and even my stepmothers in the home. And one thing that I learned about them is that in the evening like this, we will sit round the fire and they will tell us about our people, about family life. My father would tell you about his father, his mother, his great grandmother, his stepmother, his maternal family, and so on and so forth. And the same thing with my mother. They would tell us about where their origin, how they emerge. They told us about our people, the different clans that we come in. And so I grew up to know more about that. That is very good. And that's something I have also been passing through to my younger children. I meet them and I tell them about my father. I tell them about where we are coming from. I told them about the clans that we have in Etiablan and so on and so forth. That again is what I cherish. Number two, as I said, my father was a very good farmer, very, very big farmer. He managed a farm very well. And so I grow up to imbibe that spirit of hard work. And I'm telling my children, you cannot go to the farm, but your farm today is your books. So you must take time to study diligently, to study hard, to be able to make good grades and forge ahead. Just like during those days, my father was able to farm very well and have enough food in his barns and serve us. Your barn is your book. What is your brain? Hard work. My father taught us to be God fearing. If it is not your own, no, no career. He has always been saying that don't put your eye in something that is not your own. Rather, work hard to get it. And I have tried to also tell my children about that. So it's a great privilege living with my father, and I look forward to my children saying, it's a great privilege living with me. That is the legacy I want to pass to them.
Like I said earlier, I grew up with my father, my mother, and my siblings. And my growing up, I always want to be like my father because he's always there for us. He listens to all our complaints, all our need. The first thing my father does whenever he comes in is he will sit all down and start asking you, how was your day? How is school? What did you learn in school? He interacts with us to really know how our day went. And for areas that needs correction, he will tell us, okay, next time this is how you do it, or next time this don't do it this way, do it that way. And my father always teach us to respect one another. If you are a junior to the family, you have to respect the senior. And if you're the senior, you also have to respect the junior. It doesn't make you feel as if because you are the senior, you are the all and all, everything you do is right. No, it tells you this is how you do it, or this the way not to go. And my dad always speak in our dialect whenever we're at home. Unlike today, a family that everybody want to speak English. Everybody want their children to speak English or good English. My father always relate to us or we always converse in our dialect. And that is why today, if you ask me anything in my dialect, I'll be able to respond or to speak fluently. And that is exactly what I want to pass down to my children to learn the culture of my tribe, the belief, the history, and able to communicate fluently in my local dialect. And that is why when I have any opportunity, when they are on break, who want to travel, not travel to other countries or travel to other town and have fun. We want to go to the village, to the country home, where they feel nature, where they see how it is in the villages, how life is in the villages, how they can compare the village life with the city life. And that will help them to also respect the position they find themselves. Because as we all know, the condition in the city is quite different from the condition in the village. The privileges you enjoy in the city is quite different from the privileges you enjoy in the villages. So sometimes you take them there for them to see for themselves, for them to feel for themselves, and by so doing, they respect whatever situation they find themselves. So yeah, that is one of the things that I learned from my family while growing up, from my father especially. He will always tell you to respect culture, and if you respect culture, that means you respect elders. That means you eat what you are supposed to eat and control yourself, good morals, love, understanding, and what have you. Yeah.
My advice to men is a calling. It is a calling, it is a vocation. And you are called. And that vocation is that you have to be patient, have to play your role well, have to make sure your family, you are doing what God expected you to do, so that you keep everybody happy and allow everybody to play his role. So that if everybody play his role, you will build a very happy home, and you will feel happy, you will feel fulfilled, and then you will have a perfect family that people will want to come and learn from. Second, at a certain time, one can feel confused. At any time you get confused in handling your family, fall back to God so that He will direct you and lead you on how He wants your home to be. Then, thirdly, God is the one that have given you that role, and that He will always be with you, and He is going to favor you. He is going to bless you, and He is going to make you strong and give you everything you need so that you'll be able to fend for the family and make your family a happy family.
My kind advice is also what I do as a father, and which is one, you must have the fear of God in you. That is key, because if you don't have fear of God in you, you cannot do what is right at any time. You must have the fear of God in you. You must ensure that you are close to your family. You relate to your family very well. You spend quality time with your family. You take care of your family. Take responsibility of what happens in your family, and ensure that you guide your children, your family in the right way that they will not regret in life. Thank you so much.
God gave the man the role to be the head of the home, the provider of the home, the judge of the home, the king of the home, and the protector of the home, the pillar of the home. Where he is not allowed, or he has not that freedom to fulfill his role, he feels unfulfilled. He feels not important. He feels rejected. He feels unrespected. Then this is where the issue of broken home comes in, because he will go out there to seek where he will have that freedom, that he will be able to fulfill that instinct naturally that God created him to do, so that he will feel important, he will feel fulfilled, he will feel respected, and he will feel regarded in the family.
Well, fathers should see themselves as a privileged people. Privileged in the sense that it is God that helped them to be fathers. And therefore, they should know that in discharging their fatherly responsibility, they should do their best to discharge their fatherly responsibility and ensure that they groom those children to become very reasonable member of the family, of the society. Again, fathers should please resist the temptation to forget the delinquent children, the prodigal children. They should rather concentrate on grooming up in trying to help the weak ones, the bad ones in court, the delinquent ones, the prodigal ones, and bring them back home, just as God is doing to us. If father sees their role, their God given ability, and they see themselves as the God in the family and treat the family the way God treats us as his own children, we are going to live a better life and we are going to leave better children behind. That is my take and my advice for fathers.
All family together, they are the ones that form a community, a state, a country, the whole world. So the small effort you make in building your family, you have contributed in the building of the whole world. A family with God will always succeed in battles, in their trials, and in their challenges because God is the key to success.
My advice to fathers, those who are married and either are beginning to develop by having children, and those who have children, they should exercise patience and continue to ask God to provide them with the wisdom of what is going on in the world, within them and far, and keep on believing that their children can grow if, with the wisdom God has provided the family, and with the family coming together, working together, mother and husband, and believing that they talk to their children and giving them the like or example. Certainly, God will always lead that family to a success. So my advice is that patience and asking God for wisdom to guide every family, to be able to guide any child, because the creation of God has made everybody God's children and has given us the brain, that is the wisdom, to be able to handle our situation. So it shouldn't, even if you're alone, you still face difficulties. And if you have a family or a wife and child or children, you can use God's wisdom to lead and guide oneself with his family. So patience and endurance and attitude of belonging will always help, and God will be happy with us.
Thank you for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Kindly share with us your contributions on some of the questions raised there. And may the Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Happy Father's Day to all our fathers out there.